Theme song. Stand, 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 stand.
Lee, 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 Lee. Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Our Dads Are Brothers, a TV and movie review podcast. I'm Nathan Tracy.
And I'm not Nathan Tracy. And this is
Well,
Our Dads Are Brothers.
Well, who the heck are you?
I'm Bat Tracy. In today's topic, we are covering Stan Lee cameos to
That's
Excelsior and beyond.
That's right. You might know him from Marvel and a few other things.
Definitely know him from Marvel.
So how you been?
I've been good. Just hanging out, watching King of the Queens. And
Nice.
King of the Queens is not the greatest show in the world, but I have some
It's
fun with
just
it.
King of Queens, right?
It's the King of Queens, yeah. But King of the Queens
Okay.
sounds so much funner. Watched a movie called Don't Be a Menace to South Central and while drinking your juice in the hood, which is a movie you've told me about many times.
Yes.
And when I went into this, I did not know that it was just a straight up parody of Boys in the Hood.
You love
And
it.
I did really like it because I've seen Boys in the Hood and I was like, wow, this is just that movie again.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I'm just watching Ozark, The Circle, like I mentioned both those before. Season 2 of Floor is Lava on Netflix came out. It's a fun, athletic, slippery game.
You know what's fun about that?
What's that?
I put that in my list the day that it came out, and I've never watched it.
The premiere season 1 came out.
Yeah.
Season 2 came out. It's half the size, so
I
maybe 5 episodes.
I don't think I've watched anything on Netflix in over a year at this point.
Why do you still have it?
Because my dad uses it,
Oh, okay.
and it's ridiculous because I pay $23 fucking a month for Netflix because I have a 4K TV, so I have to pay for the 4K plan.
Oh my gosh.
Which is it's so expensive and I don't use it.
Maybe you should go on there. You'll be surprised. If you haven't been on there in a year, you're going to scroll through it and just be like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's just Netflix though. I don't like Netflix. I also went and saw the Bob's Burgers movie in theaters.
Nice. How was it?
It was really good. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, maybe, because I was skeptical.
Good.
I really like the show. Like, it's a show I watch weekly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was really excited for this movie. And it was fucking awesome, man. Like, there was parts in the movie where I legit laughed out loud. Like,
Nice.
it was great.
I'm always skeptical about show movies. Just thinking it's just going to be just a long episode, essentially.
Yeah.
Not much of a movie story to it or something.
Me and my dad were talking about that. The last of this type of movie, like an animated TV show becoming a movie, the last one I can think of is the Simpsons movie.
Yeah, I was going to say, personally, Simpsons and South Park. I know that's a little different.
Yeah.
I honestly
actually
always think...
You know what? I'm contradicting myself because I saw My Little Pony, the movie, in theaters with Patrick.
That's very different.
And that's a TV show.
We were talking about adult animation, I thought.
Because it was based on the Friendship is Magic show or whatever.
All right, well, back to what I was saying.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off.
I personally still, when I think of certain episodes of Simpsons or South Park, I think, oh, I've seen that episode, and then I talk about it, and somebody's like, that's the movie. And I'm like, oh.
I'm going to pitch a movie idea to you right now, okay? And if Seth MacFarlane has the balls, he'll do this. He should make Family Guy the movie, okay? And in the middle half an hour, so it's like a 90-minute movie, in the middle half an hour, just do a live Conway Twitty performance just for a fucking 30 minutes straight.
Seth MacFarlane's done with Family Guy. He only does voice acting. He stopped writing on it years ago.
Well, I'm just saying he should take that idea and do it because people would walk out of the theater, I think.
That'd be great.
Let's move on to some birthdays.
Yeah, should we?
Watching stuff is cool, but birthdays are cooler.
Definitely.
Watching stuff is cool is what I call the first segment.
Well, today is June 9th. Got a few birthdays here for you. We got Johnny Depp, Natalie Portman, Michael J. Fox, Jacob Batalon, Aiden Turner, and Mae Whitman. Let's first pause and say congratulations, Johnny.
Oh, yeah. Agreed. I also really like Mae Whitman.
Yeah. I mean, I only know her from Good Girls. I'm sure there's other things I've seen her in.
Have you ever watched one of my YouTube videos and I put in a clip where it's Michael Cera and he's like, Oh, she takes a mayo packet and squirts it in her mouth. She calls it a
Oh yeah,
Mayan
yeah.
egg. That's Mae Whitman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She's also the president's daughter in Independence Day when she was like 6 years old.
Oh yeah, I'm supposed to remember that.
No, it's just a fun fact I know about her.
Well,
But
fun fact
anyway,
about Natalie Portman, she was in that SNL music video, that rap video.
oh
That was
yeah,
fun.
Natalie's rap.
Yeah, that was fun.
God, I fucking love that song.
Yeah. She's also
Anyway,
in Star Wars.
that's true. And V for Vendetta, that's really a
Yeah.
good movie.
Well, we're not going to highlight her, even though it sounds like. Who are we highlighting?
Let's talk about Michael J. Fox, the
Michael
classic,
J. Fox.
great, retired actor.
He is 61 today, born in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Did you know that his middle name is Andrew?
Yeah.
Which is my middle name.
Oh,
I don't talk about that publicly. He
Yeah,
didn't want to use. Anyways, he didn't want to use the A because it sounded too Canadian. A.
He didn't want it to sound like Michael A. Fox. He also didn't want to be called a fox.
Michael A.
That's
A.
Italian, or at least a Guido wannabe.
I'm Michael A. Fox. What are you talking about?
Some Andrew Dice Clay.
Hickory dickory dock. I'm Michael A. Fox. Well, he chose the J as a tribute to Michael J. Pollard, who was an actor he liked.
Yeah, he was in Bonnie and Clyde.
Okay, I haven't seen that movie.
That's okay, neither have I.
So I think he's most known for, obviously, he's Marty McFly in Back to the Future. He was in the first Teen Wolf. He's the voice of Stuart Little in the entire trilogy. He was Milo. He was Milo in the first Atlantis movie. He voiced Chance in the Homeward Bound duology. And then he was Alex P. Keaton on Family Ties, where he apparently was a Republican, which I thought was weird when I found that out.
Interesting. That's a lot more voice acting than I realized, honestly, doing this research.
Yeah, I think it's obviously because of his I cannot remember.
Parkinson's?
Yes. So
well, I'm not surprised he did it. It's just more than I realized. Like, I didn't know he did Stuart Little. It's pretty cool. Fun fact for you, he was in 2 trilogies throughout his career. The 3 Back to the Future movies and the 3 Stuart Littles. For both, he did the first one, other movies, and then 2 and 3 back to back for both trilogies.
That's weird because
that's neat.
I think there's a 4-year gap between Stuart Little 2 and 4. I mean 2 and 3.
There might be.
I think the first one came out in 2002, and the second one was 2006.
Listeners will have to fact check you on that one.
Can Google it. Stuart Little 2 was 2002, and Stuart Little 3 was 2005. I was wrong.
Well, it took a lot of work to make Stuart Little 3. Lots of work.
I just really like him as an actor. I've seen a lot of his stuff. Doc Hollywood's a good movie. He has a cool cameo in See You Yesterday, which is a time travel movie. And he plays one of the teachers because it's a time travel movie. I think that was his last film performance. Yeah, he's just a good actor. He's in some other movie. I can't remember the name of it. I really like it though. Let me look it up because I want to be able to tell people. The Secret of My Success. That's what it's called. I like that one.
Nice. I'll have to watch it. He also seems just like a nice guy. Like, I don't know him personally. He seems like he would be a nice guy, a wholesome dude.
Agreed. Oh, he was also he guest starred in 1 season of Curb Your Enthusiasm. I really enjoyed him in that.
Nice.
He's always stomping. That's a quote from that.
All right, so I'm going to give it our email so you guys can hit us up. Any questions, comments, reviews, thoughts, new names for Bat, anything you want. It's
I don't consent to that. No.
ourdads.ourbrothers@gmail.com.
I guess it was good enough.
We'd love to hear from you.
Oh, jeez. Is this legal? I'm going to have to legally change it?
Yeah, we'll see if there's any good ones.
Oh, man.
Should we get right into the episode?
Absolutely.
All right. Today, we actually have a special guest host.
Who is it?
Yeah, it's Nathanael Pulley. He is a longtime friend of mine for well over a decade. He's also been your frenemy for well over a decade. He's the frontman from the band Archers, and he's a longtime, probably since birth, Marvel fan.
He's also
lead frontman from the band Archers. They're really well known. They've got a pretty good fan base. He's played in front of thousands of people, never at the same time, but he has.
I was gonna be like, excuse me, like, who are we? What? Who else do you have on the podcast? Like,
He was also the frontman of the hit band Here for the Moment.
Actually, that's not true. He was never the frontman. He was the bassist.
Well, I still have a CD autographed by all 5 of you guys.
Yeah, the hit band. Yeah, do you remember our first album? We wanted to name it Greatest Hits.
Yes, we did.
I remember that, honestly.
But we called it Hello, My Name Is.
Yeah, also a good title, if I'm being honest.
Yes, especially for a debut album. Hello, My Name Is Here for the Moment. Yeah, it worked out.
And you guys really were only there for a moment.
Yeah, we didn't last very long. That was a very brief stint as a bassist.
Should we get right into talking about some Stan Lee?
Yeah, that's the thing. Let's do it.
Not Stanley. Stan Lee.
Flat Stanley.
No, not that one. Stan the Man Lee.
Stanley from The Office?
Nope, not that one.
We're starting off with the MCU movies. We're going a little out of order. In 2008, we had Iron Man. And this is the one where Stan Lee shows up because Tony Stark mistakes him as Hugh Hefner.
Yeah, he at a premiere. Like, he was going down the escalator, and then there he was with some girls, and he taps on the shoulder. He's like, looking good, Hef.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It was a Stark convention, I think, the Stark Expo, maybe.
I don't think he had a line in that one.
I assumed that he was playing Hef in that scene. Like, he was
most likely, yeah.
Because he played Larry King in Iron Man 2, I believe, correct?
In both movies, he mistakes him for the other person. So he's playing himself.
I don't know. They did a really good job of framing him as Larry King in the second one. I think it was the second one.
Yeah, it was Iron Man 2, which we'll get to here in a second. But yeah, he did a good job as Hef. Like, I'm honestly, if somebody ran into him wearing that robe, they'd probably think it's Hugh Hefner. So,
well, I mean, not anymore because they're both dead. But they'd be like, "Wow, this is terrifying." Both Stanley and Hugh Hefner are here as ghost form, apparently.
Well, also from 2008, we had the Incredible Hulk, and in this one, Stan Lee is a citizen who drinks the soda that has Bruce Banner's radioactive blood in it, and then he falls to the ground.
Yeah, he drinks it and goes, "Wow," and then he drops the bottle and it shatters.
It was like there was a bunch of theories that went on, in years down the road, that were saying because everyone was saying all these different cameos, maybe he's playing a longer arc of a character that's kind of switching around, and a lot of people were thinking that because he drank gamma irradiated Bruce Banner blood, that somehow he developed some sort of longevity superpower or whatever, and then that's how he's able to make it all the way through the MCU with these cameos.
Aren't there a few fan theories about him throughout the cameos? Like, he is this person or that person.
Oh yeah, we'll get to a big one later on in a couple movies. Right. Well, trivia question: how many Marvel movies came out in 2009?
Feature length live action movies?
Yeah,
MCU movies.
Oh, MCU movies. Is that what you're referring? Okay, because
trick question. It was the only year there wasn't one.
I was gonna say there wasn't anything in There was 2008, which is Iron Man.
2010 we had Iron Man 2, and this one, as Pulley said, he gets mistaken by Tony Stark again as Larry King.
I thought that one was pretty great because he had the whole get up on, and how whenever Larry King gets shot and not shot, but whenever cameras film, whenever he gets filmed, it's always that upward angle looking down, and he's got a very almost triangular shape down to the floor. They did that perfectly to make it give you the illusion that it's Larry King being videoed. I loved that.
I'm pretty sure he also did not have a line in this one, so that's
I think he did not.
Yeah, so 2 for 2 Iron Mans. One's Hef and one's Larry King. Hasn't said anything yet. And he said wow for the Incredible Hulk.
2011, we had 2 movies, starting off with Thor. And in this one, he is in the scene where all the people are trying to get Mjolnir out of the crater. And he tries to pull it with his truck, and the bumper comes off. And he's like, did it work?
The whole truck bed popped off, not just the bumper. Whole truck bed just goes boom right out. And he leans out the window. Did it work? It's one of my favorite ones.
It is one of my favorite ones.
The simplicity of these is just, I love that they don't need a lot to be shining moments in these films,
They don't need to be really huge things to be memorable either.
Yeah.
Right. Well, even if you don't notice, because then it makes later, you're like, oh, wait, I missed that? Especially in one coming up, which we'll cover. But sometimes he's just in the background, a picture, and Some people might not even notice he's there.
Mhm.
Well, that's was normally more done with like the shows. Like I know if you watch Daredevil, you get to see his pictures, likeness in pictures a couple of times.
All right, and then the second movie from 2011, we had Captain America: The First Avenger, and I really like Stan Lee's cameo in this one. He plays an army general, and he sees Captain America for the first time, and he's like, "Oh, I thought he'd be taller."
I also like that too because it puts in canon that given the time frame, that Stan Lee's probably got a body count. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Well-
as a general, like in the army, most likely,
Yeah,
considering he
especially-
would have had to live through like the turn of the century, the First World War, and now this. How do you think he got to be that general? Dude's
Yeah,
got a
and
body count. Like
So he would say like 90 years old during World War II when that movie was taking place. So he would have even been alive for Civil War, maybe. You know what I
Right.
mean? All right, and in 2012, we had the Avengers, or in the UK, Avengers Assemble. And in this one cameo where he's interviewed on the news about superheroes in New York, and he's like, superheroes in New York, give me a break. And then he just goes back to playing chess.
I love that. That specific scene was actually a nod towards X-Men, where because oftentimes you would find like Charles and Magneto, or Eric, would like meet up to play chess in public parks and things like that. So like, that was actually a nod from the director's commentary confirmed that, I believe.
There's a fun one from Avengers. It was from the deleted scenes. A waitress leans over and flirts with Steve Rogers, and Stan Lee turns to Steve Rogers and says, "Ask for her number, you moron."
That would have been. That should have stayed. Honestly,
It
that should
should've.
not have been. That should not have been left on the cutting room floor.
In 2013, we had Iron Man 3, and Stanley portrays a beauty pageant judge in this one. And I think he like gives the contestant a perfect 10. I don't remember this one as well.
Yeah, neither do I. I think it's because I don't remember it well. It was because he didn't mistake him as another
Yeah.
actor.
I feel like Iron Man 3 is one of the. I actually enjoyed the movie a lot, but as a
I do
story,
too.
actually, it does have a lot more ramifications to the general MCU than a lot of people think, because
Oh, yeah, it does.
it directly affects so many different things, as well as taking like the big hero moment away from Tony Stark in general, like and giving it to Pepper Potts.
I was going to say, without Iron Man 3, you couldn't have had Shang-Chi. Next up, from 2013, I also don't remember this one as well. This is from Thor: The Dark World, and Stanley portrays a mental ward patient who gives his shoe to Eric Selvig during like some demonstration, and then at the end he's like, "Yeah, can I have my shoe back?"
Yep, I remember that one because Eric is in the loony bin because he's been ever since Avengers. He's basically just been because after his mind got basically screwed up by Loki in Avengers, essentially he's just like locked up in some loony bin for being absolutely insane about the convergence. And then yeah, Stanley's just sitting there like, "Can I have my shoe back?" I love it. I liked it a lot.
All right, what's next?
From 2014, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and in this one, Stanley's security guard at the Smithsonian, and Captain America steals his old uniform, and then Stanley's like, "Oh man, I'm so fired."
I really like when he makes like a snarky comment like that, like, "Oh man, I'm so fired." Like it's just so like old man humor. Like it's so great.
I'm so getting fired for this. Like, yeah, wonderful. Not really a lot to say about that one in particular,
yeah.
though. It's really
It's somewhere short and sweet.
straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, next up, another one I don't think we have a whole lot to say. It's from 2014. It's Guardians of the Galaxy, and in this one, Stanley's like sitting in the crowd on Xandar, and he's talking to some young woman, and Rocket scans him, and yeah, that's pretty much all it is.
I'm pretty sure like I'd have to re-watch that specifically because like if you look at when he scans him, a bunch of information shows up.
Yeah, one of them says he's known to shout the word Excelsior.
That's like Stanley's like his mating call. No, it's his like what do they call
Excelsior.
that? Excelsior. It's like his just main exclamation. I love that though.
Enough
I really
said.
hope
From 2015, we have Avengers: Age of Ultron, and in this one, he's one of the World War II veterans that attends the Avengers party, and then he gets really drunk with Thor, and then he falls over drunk, and he goes Excelsior.
That was actually they filmed a lot more for that scene specifically. There was a whole dialogue between Thor and Stanley's character because in the movie he's like, "You couldn't handle this. This was distilled from whatever, like, and he's just like, ah, son, you didn't make it through the best, or whatever battle he mentions. I don't remember exactly, but apparently they, during the filming of that, they actually filmed like a good 5 solid minutes of dialogue between Thor and Stan Lee and the rest of the veterans.
He's been credited to say that that was his favorite cameo before going on to say another one, but that was one of his all-time favorite cameos. So if it was just the one line of saying Excelsior, it'd be like, why is that one of your favorite? But to know that there's a lot more behind it, that's...
In the actual movie, the stuff that didn't get cut was him having most of the conversation, and he says something along the lines of, come on, fork it over, Blondie, or something like that. Like, he has there's a bit more dialogue than just him saying Excelsior in it.
All right, from 2015, we had Ant-Man.
Excelsior.
All right, from 2015, we had...
Excelsior.
Oh my god. From 2015, we had Ant-Man. And in this one, he has a non-speaking role. He appears during not Luis Guzman. I said the wrong actor. It's
Michael Pena.
Michael Pena. His character's name is Luis.
Yeah.
So he appears during Luis's story where he's like, oh, I know this guy who knows this guy who knows this guy. He's like one of the people that they show on screen. 2016, there was Captain America Civil War, the third Captain America movie. And in this one, this one's another cameo he has with Iron Man, because he shows up as a FedEx delivery driver. And he calls him Tony Stank.
That's one of my favorite ones.
So
delivery for Tony Stank.
The first time I saw this movie, I didn't like that joke. I was like, that's kind of a dumb joke. But now, the more I've seen it, I'm like, it's kind of funny.
I just came around because it is kind of funny.
I think the funny part was that, like, it was one of the first ones where, like, the heroes kind of took stock of what he actually had to say, which doesn't mean much, but like, you actually have Rhodey like repeating his line and like making it's a whole inside joke now. It's not big, but it's like it gets Rhodey laughing. It creates an inside joke between Rhodey and Tony, where he's like, delivery for Mr. Stank. I'm like never living that one down and all that. And like most of the time, he's just some kind of background tertiary character who either has no dialogue or doesn't interact with your actual heroes. But this one, he actually has a line. It makes an impact, and it gets your actual hero to start laughing. And I feel like that was what really connected people with that particular cameo.
Sure. Also, something like this by saying Tony Stank. The fact that Tony is mistaken him as other people, it's almost like a dig back. He's like,
it kind of is.
You call me King, Larry King? Well, you're Mr. Tony Stank. So.
In 2016, in Doctor Strange, he's riding on a bus, and he's reading a book while Doctor Strange and Mordo and Caecilius are having a battle. And yeah, anyone have anything to say about that one quick?
It was cool. I wonder what book it was.
Did
we figure that out?
Yeah, it was the Doors of Perception.
Interesting. I wonder if that has anything to do with like the main story. If that was like a call to anything.
It's because they go into the mirror world.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
All right, from 2017, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I think this is a really fun one because it ties so much together in the MCU.
It really does.
He appears as an astronaut talking to the Watchers about previous cameos that he has had in the MCU.
Yeah, this was one thing I really liked as well, because it was kind of a nod to the fans, really, because one of the big theories that had been going on through the conception of the MCU was that he potentially might be a Watcher.
Yep.
You know, that he actually might have been one of the race of like sentient beings that literally observes the entire universe. And like, obviously this confirmed that he wasn't, but it says that he's, it was like, it's a nod to the fact that, we understood. It was one of the first times where like fans had such a big impact on a specific thing.
Earlier when I mentioned the fan theories, and I said we'd get to one, this is the one I was talking about.
Yeah.
I figured that was what you were talking about.
Yeah, because I mean, the stories he's telling the Watchers are stories of other cameos he's done, and that's just fantastic. I just love the end credit because he's in it twice. Hey, where are you going? Like, I didn't tell you this next story. It's like meaning that he's just yabber.
I love that too, because it kind of gave you the idea that like in the MCU world, he's this like annoyance that people don't want to hang out with. He's like the pot dealer that you go and hang out with just so you can get a free smoke. You don't actually want to chill with him, but like
I feel like you're talking about a very specific person right now.
There's a couple of people that come to mind.
There's a couple. Yeah, and Stanley was actually he made an appearance in the music video for the song Guardians Inferno.
Yeah. which is by James Gunn's band.
Really? I didn't know any of that.
It's a pretty good song, actually. David Hasselhoff is
check it.
also in it. Also, from 2017, Spider-Man Homecoming. This is a really fun one because Stanley appears in the window as Stanley thinks a guy is carjacking his own car.
Yeah.
And he has a conversation with like a woman across the yard.
I was actually talking to Nathan about this earlier in the week because we were discussing like coming on the podcast and whatnot. And I was saying this is one of my favorite ones. But also that's just one of the funnier moments is that he has in the cameos too, because there's so many things happening in that scene. Spider-Man has got the wrong perp and he's like, webbed this dude and hit him in the head with his own car. And then like one lady is just like, you're making so much noise. And then he pops out and he's like, hey, calm down. And then he starts hitting on the other lady.
Yeah.
Like, it was just this whole like smash of all these different things happening at once. And then you got like Spider-Man just being like, what?
Yeah, just standing there embarrassed that he has the wrong person. Like, and then also from 2017, this is the point where Marvel started doing 3 movies a year. We had Thor Ragnarok, and I think I really like this one too. It's where Stanley, he's the barber that cuts Thor's hair short. And then he says, my hands aren't as steady as they used to be.
Which is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
When you're getting your hair cut by somebody.
But also Thor is invincible, so what does it matter?
Yeah. I just love watching Thor devolve in that particular scene. He's like, you will not cut my hair. Oh no, please, God, so don't cut my hair. Like,
I think he looks so much better with short hair, honestly.
Dude,
and
I would agree.
I know it's because Chris Hemsworth didn't like wearing the wig anymore. Well, the second movie is a wig. I think the first movie he had long hair. But yeah, he just got tired of it, so he's like, just cut my hair.
Was he also tired of having 2 eyes?
Maybe.
So they're like, well, here's an eye patch.
But he got the second eye back, so.
I would have watched that first.
That was a great moment.
All right, 2018, shall we?
Yeah.
Starting off with Black Panther. Stanley, he appears in the casino they go to in Busan, right at the beginning of the movie where it leads to that car chase. Claw.
That was a great chase scene, by the way.
It was.
Like, as far as chase scenes go, like even in just non-move, like that's up there with like the Jason Bourne chase scene, which it's one of my favorite chase scenes of all time. But like that was a great chase scene.
Do you want to hear my Claw impression?
Yes.
Little girl. He says that in Avengers Age of Ultron.
So we're like waiting for more. Like, is that it?
Yeah. There's a part in the Age of Ultron where he's like talking to a kid. And he goes, little girl. So the next one, Avengers Infinity War. And this one's right at the start of the movie. Stanley appears. He's Peter Parker's bus driver on the school bus when the portal opens up, and then obviously Spider-Man goes to space, and he's like, I thought it wasn't a portal.
It wasn't a portal. Get that right. It was Ebony Maw's ship.
Yes. Portals, ships.
Very big difference. One has to go to a place. One gets to a place. Like,
okay. He has a really good quote here where he goes, "What's the matter, kids? You've never seen a spaceship before?"
I loved that because it was like it was super meta in a way, because it's just like prior to 2012 in Avengers, of course, nobody would have seen a spaceship. Right. Aliens existing was a big reveal for like the whole 2012 thing for the general populace. And now there's just some random bus driver like, what, kids? You ain't never seen a spaceship before?
Yeah.
But like,
imagine, this is a crazy thing to think about when the Avengers, it's like in the world of the Avengers, at least. Mm-hmm. So like 2012 happens, and all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, aliens are real. But also, wait, this guy's a fucking god from another realm? Like, what is that? And then like,
that's actually a really good point, because one of the things that I love about the MCU is how they build just the world in general. Like, I don't know if you ever like paid attention while you were watching like the old Netflix shows, but you can actually see certain things change just in the world. Like, for instance, ever since the first Thor movie, there's been something called the Church of Asgard, which is a brand new religion that started. You see posters all over it in the shows. It's just like people are now re-worshipping like the Norse deities and whatnot. And it's like, it's a more popular religion again. It's cool like to see that kind of stuff.
The last one from 2018, this is Ant-Man and the Wasp. This is a fun one where Stanley, his car gets shrunk and he goes, well, the 60s were fun, but now I'm paying for it.
That was
so great.
Well, the 60s were fun, but now I'm paying for it. Remember the car that they were super geeked out about? He pulls the little Hot Wheels case, and it's like a Hyundai. Like they're like,
Yeah.
whoa, this thing's badass. But like their big car was a Hyundai, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
really?
Getting into 2019, this one is actually my favorite Stan Lee MCU cameo of all time. It's from Captain Marvel. These came out after he died, but this is the one where he's sitting on the bus and he's reading the script to Mallrats because it takes place during the 90s.
Yep.
So
That
it's my favorite cameo he ever did.
That was such a heartwarming moment for me too.
Yeah.
Just being in the theater and seeing that. Not my favorite movie by any means. Not a bad movie necessarily, but not my favorite in any way, shape, or form. But like having like right on the heels of him passing away, we get this cameo, and it's from such an iconic thing to Mallrats. Like that conversation in Mallrats is one of the all-time best cameos he's ever done.
This movie also had the logo at the beginning of the movie where it's all the Stan Lee cameos, and it said "Thank you, Stan," because it was right after he died.
That hit me.
That hurt. That hurt
did.
so hard.
You cut out a little bit, so you're like, that hit me so hard. Well, and the second one from Avengers Endgame, and again, this was after he died, makes an appearance digitally de-aged as a car driver in 1970, where he is at the army base when Captain America and Tony Stark go.
That one was almost forgettable because there was so much happening in that moment, like in the film itself.
A cool thing about this cameo, though, is they digitally recreated his wife, Joan, to be standing next to him.
That's really sweet. I didn't notice that.
She died a couple years before he did, I think, or maybe a year before him, because this was his final official appearance where he filmed it ahead of time. Which the last 4 of his cameos were actually all filmed by James Gunn at the time of Doctor Strange, because his health was going down. So they were like, we're going to film 4 at the same time.
Also, his dog Charlotte Lee was referenced. The Charlotte Lee was under Scott Lee's name on the wall of Vanished that Scott's looking at.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I never noticed that.
That's cool. Yeah.
And then in 2021, Spider-Man No Way Home, he doesn't appear in the movie, but they did say that they wanted to have a look-alike make a cameo appearance, but then they ultimately decided not to. But they did use his birthday as the taxi cab license plate in one of the scenes.
I thought that was a good choice because, like, I feel like the entire world needed a breath. Stan's gone. And we're gonna have to find a way to deal with that. And so, but plus with that movie, there's so many cameos and so many people coming back that like it makes sense. It's more tasteful. I mean, like I'm happy that they're gonna be recreating him in some ways, but I am really hesitant. Marvel does a really good job with this, with the whole heartstrings thing. So I'm not worried that they're gonna screw it up. But it's one of those things where it's like, now that he is gone, it should be more about remembrance than cameos,
I'm just going to do a quick rundown of TV appearances he had in the MCU, because they're not many. He was in a quick episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He was just an old man. He was in one episode of Agent Carter. He then had cameos as a photograph in Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Defenders, and Punisher. And then he appeared in an episode of The Runaways as a limousine driver. He was in an episode of Cloak and Dagger in a painting. And then, that was all of them. And then he also had his birthday on a license plate in an episode of WandaVision after he died. And then that actually happened before the Spider-Man one, so it was repeated. In an episode of Loki, one of the portraits on the in the TVA's courtroom has a picture of Stan Lee, and so he could have been an agent of the TSA or TVA.
TSA agent.
TSA.
The TSA agent, did you say?
Yeah. All right, should we move on to the non-MCU movies?
Yes, I'm excited about this one.
Yes.
All right, so starting with the X-Men films. In 2000, the original X-Men movie. I actually just watched this cameo today. He doesn't have a talking line, but he just appears standing next to a hot dog machine as Senator Kelly walks out of the
out of the ocean.
Yeah, out of the ocean naked.
Yeah, he was a hot dog
that was the first one.
Yeah.
That was like the first, like that movie. There was other Marvel entities before that, but that was the first superhero movie to really, since Blade, because I think Blade came out first.
Yeah, Blade was 1998.
Yeah, but so Blade was the thing that kind of traditionalized superhero
you,
movies into like that format.
If you need a recap, you could go listen to episode 1 of Our Dads Are Brothers. We
Yeah.
actually
Yeah,
talked
you
about
guys
it.
talked about.
Yeah.
That's the cameo that, like, and like back then it wasn't a thing. You know, it wasn't like, ooh, they didn't have this grand plan to have him be a part of this. It was like, oh, let's get Stan Lee in here because he did all this.
And
like,
Stan Lee actually filmed a cameo for Blade, but it was deleted from the final film.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he played a cop that discovered Quinn's burning body at the vampire club.
Oh, okay.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you said that they didn't have a master plan with these cameos at the time yet, because he didn't even appear in X2. His next cameo was in X-Men: The Last Stand.
No, it would have been Spider-Man 1, wouldn't it have been, timeline-wise?
We're talking
X-Men
only
movies.
right now.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
You silly goober.
You said non-MCU. That's non-MCU.
But he did a second ago say, let's start with the X-Men films.
All right.
So the next one he appeared in was in 2006, X-Men: The Last Stand. And this is a fun cameo because he appears along with Chris Claremont, who's one of the famous X-Men writers. He actually gets a credited role in this one. He's credited as Waterhose Man. He is one of Jean Grey's neighbors at the beginning of the movie, and his his hose goes upward.
I remember that. Yeah, that's a big deal.
Stan Lee is normally not credited. Is that correct? In any movies?
He usually goes uncredited.
Yeah,
well, he's always credited as the executive producer, but that's
sure, but not as acting. Like he doesn't have a part in the.
He has very few credited roles, I'm pretty sure. But then, so his next one was in 2016 in Deadpool. He appears as the MC at the strip club, and he goes, "Give it up for chastity." And then also in 2016, he had a busy year because he was also in X-Men Apocalypse. He is shown viewing the rising nuclear weapons that were launched by Apocalypse, and he stands next to his wife, Joan. And he actually said that this was his favorite cameo he ever did because he got to stand next to his wife at the time of filming.
That's cool.
But there was a short film called No Good Deed in 2017. This was the Deadpool short. It aired before Logan. And it was also released on like YouTube and stuff, but it's the one where Deadpool gets into he goes into the telephone booth to help like the guy getting mugged, and then Stanley's like yells at him about, he's like, "Hey, nice suit," and he goes, "Zip it, Stanley."
That was such a great like commentary on the classic. You know, Clark Kent runs into a phone booth, gets quick change, but he like takes forever. His ass cheeks are up against the glass, and when he finally gets out, the guy's dead.
And he steals his groceries.
He's just like, well, I guess you don't need these.
And then in Deadpool 2, he appeared as a graffiti painting on the side of a wall as dominoes flying through the city. And if you ever saw the PG-13 cut of Deadpool 2 that they released, it was called Once Upon Deadpool. When you get to that scene, they added "RIP" underneath the portrait. In Spider-Man 2002, he appears during the first battle with Green Goblin, where he pulls a little girl away from some falling debris.
Yeah, that was the first one that I ever saw where I was like, oh shit, that was Stan Lee.
Right.
I remember I saw Spider-Man in theaters as a really young kid. I think I was 7.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2 was actually the first movie I ever went to see in theaters. My parents were very much like we were a bit like sheltered because like religion and shit. So like going to the theater was like against our covenant of our church or whatever. So when we finally got I would have been able to see so many more movies if my parents didn't suck for like the beginning of my childhood.
I love how the first ever movie you go to is Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, and I mean, best superhero movie ever made. Get to see it on the big screen for the first time ever.
But speaking of Spider-Man 2 from 2004, he repeats his Spider-Man stunt in this one with another person during Spider-Man's battle with Dr. Octopus, where he pulls them away from falling debris. There's also a fun deleted scene on this one. It's an extra on the DVD where he has another cameo, and he goes, "Look, Spider-Man stole that kid's sneakers." And then in Spider-Man 3, I think this is his biggest, one of his biggest roles as a cameo, because he's also credited in this one as Man in Times Square. He stands next to Peter Parker, and they read the news bulletin about Spider-Man, and he's like, I guess one person can make a difference. And he goes, "Enough said," and then walks away.
A lot of people shit on Spider-Man 3, but I still love it because it's still Spider-Man.
It's kind of a bad movie.
Yeah, whatever. We're talking about Stan Lee,
it,
not Spider-Man.
it was they just hadn't figured out the formula of having multiple villains.
Don't get
But,
me
like,
wrong. It's got its good moments, but overall, it is not a great movie. I don't think.
I mean, casting Topher Grace as Eddie Brock, that was a choice. That was
Thomas Hayden Church as Sandman. Mwah.
perfect.
Chef's kiss.
That was perfect casting. And why can't I think of his name for Otto Octavius? Fucking Alfred Molina.
Yep.
Perfect. I know that's a different movie, but like, you know, perfect casting for that.
So moving on to Fantastic Four. In 2005, this is a fun one. This is the only time that Stan Lee has ever appeared as a character he created for the comics. He played Willie Lumpkin, the like mail carrier for the Baxter Building,
Yeah.
where the Fantastic Four work. I really like that one.
Doesn't he just greet him and he's like, "How's it going?"
Yeah, and then they're like, "Hey, Willie, here's the mail that never fails and makes me want to wag my tail."
So that's his second mail carrier position. FedEx man, and then now mail
Oh
carrier.
yeah. The Fantastic Four movies kind of suck. The second one's a little bit better.
Wait, you think the second one's better?
Yeah, it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you not listen to episode 1? He talked about his thoughts on Fantastic Four.
All right, and then in 2007, we had Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, and Stan Lee appears as himself in this one, wherein he shows up to Reed Richards and Susan Storm's wedding, and he's like, "I'm Stan Lee, I should be on the list," and they're like, "No, you're not on the list."
Classic.
And this is actually a fun nod to Fantastic Four Annual Number 3 from 1965. When the couple got married, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were also turned away in the story.
Oh, I remember reading about that. Yeah, that's cool.
Then moving on to the Amazing Spider-Man series in 2012, The Amazing Spider-Man, Stan Lee's the librarian at the school, and he's got headphones on listening to classical music as Spider-Man and Lizard fight in the background. And he has no idea.
This is honestly one of the best things he's ever done. Like, I love this cameo so much because, like, everyone in the theater was absolutely fucking dying during this scene. I remember because he's done funny things before and it gets chuckles, but this was hilarious. Like him actually, you know, like he's there. He's a part of the scene, and he's actually being saved by Spider-Man multiple times, all while entirely oblivious to the entire thing. My favorite is when that table like shows up and then like swings back around just before hitting him. I don't know. I thought it was fantastic.
So then Stan Lee just walks out casually of the library and the fight continues.
Yeah, like no, he had no issues
great.
whatsoever. But that's all thanks to Spider-Man.
Yep.
And then in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 from 2014, Stan Lee's just a guest at Peter Parker's graduation.
This is my favorite one because I'm just kidding.
As I said, this isn't a big one. He's just right there in the crowd. Moving on to 2018, or moving back to 2018. Don't remember the last year we talked about Venom. Oh, Venom! Do you remember the Eminem song?
Yes, I do.
It's just weird to think that that's already been 4 years since Venom came out. It doesn't seem that long at all.
Yeah, I know. It was before the pandemic, even. So in Venom, Stan Lee makes a cameo as a man walking his dog, and then he overhears Eddie and the symbiote talking. And he encourages them to go back get his girlfriend or whatever. And then Venom's like, "Who is that guy?" And this was actually the last cameo that Stan Lee ever filmed while he was alive.
See, like I wasn't a big enough fan of those movies to ever watch them twice. So
Venom?
yeah,
Venom's garbage.
I never saw Venom.
Oh, it's terrible.
it's like I love Eddie. I love Tom Hardy. I thought he did a really great job as Venom. I think it failed from a writing standpoint. You know,
Yeah, it's bad.
yeah, especially the second one. It was so much hype about it, and Woody Harrelson would have been fantastic.
I
but then
never
it was
saw the
just-
second one yet.
Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't seen the second one, but apparently he appears as on a cover of a magazine that Venom straightens up. All right, I'm gonna go through a couple quick ones right now. These are just other movies that he was in that aren't part of a bigger franchise. So his first appearance ever in a Marvel movie or TV project was in 1989 in The Trial of the Incredible Hulk, and he appears as a jury foreman in The Trial of Dr. David Banner.
yeah. I remember they called him David Banner in that show.
Yep.
Because the producers of that show were not a fan of Stan's propensity for alliterations and names, like Bruce Banner, Peter Parker, Reed Richards,
Matt
all
Murdock.
that kind of. Matt Murdock, exactly. It's a big thing.
Stephen Strange.
Yep. And so the producers were like, "This is dumb. We're gonna rename him," which ended up being way dumber. Like in my opinion,
they did it themselves. Dr. David, like Dr. David, like
the Trial of the Incredible Hulk is also known for it has Daredevil in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Never saw it.
Moving on to 2003, he was in 2 other movies that year. He was in the movie Daredevil, where he is about to cross the street while reading a newspaper, and he almost gets hit by a bus. And Matt Murdock, as a kid, stops him with his cane.
Yep.
It's a pretty good one. Yep.
Everyone shits on that movie. I loved that movie.
Yeah.
I
do
love
too.
that movie.
I
I love
do
it
too.
so
in the
much.
same boat.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, good. And not to mention that it literally has Jon Favreau in it, who basically is the godfather of the MCU as we know it now. So,
Yeah, we talked about him in episode 1. He was foggy to happy.
Augie Nelson.
The fun fact about Daredevil, it's actually my dad's favorite Marvel movie.
Nice.
Oh, the movie? Yeah.
Yeah. And then also in 2003 in Hulk, he appears early in the movie where he's a security guard walking out of the building, and he walks out talking to Lou Ferrigno, who is the original Hulk in the TV series.
That's right. I remember that. But they're both security guards in that movie, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they were talking about something about how they need to get better security around here or something. They have the security guards, so it's kind of funny.
And then in the 2005 TV movie Man Thing, they have a photograph of Stan Lee on the board of missing people. Don't really have to go into detail about that one because no one's seen that fucking movie. And then in 2014 in Big Hero 6, this is an animated movie.
That was so good.
Stan Lee's voice and likeness were used as the father of the character Fred.
That was a fantastic movie. That was one of the...
Yeah, I really like that one.
They did such a good job. Like, because ensemble movies have such a hard time getting off the ground, especially in the first act.
And then he has a appearance after he died in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse from 2018, where he voices a character that sells the Spider-Man mask to Miles Morales at the beginning of the movie. And he goes, Miles says that the movie or the suit doesn't fit, and Stan goes, it always fits eventually.
I liked that because it was like it made it seem really emotional, but then he points to the no refunds policy, and it's like it goes from like, oh yeah, super inspirational. It's like, no, it better fit, like because you ain't returning it. Like,
yeah, one of his earliest contributions to animation was in the 1980s animated Incredible Hulk series. He would begin every episode with his narration saying, "This is Stan Lee saying Excelsior." Then he also narrated Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends episode. Then he did the narration for the original X-Men pilot called X-Men Pride of the X-Men. And he voiced himself in 2 episodes of Fantastic Four. In 1990, in the animated Spider-Man show, he appeared in one of the final... Yep. He appeared in one of the final episodes. Yeah.
It was honestly great because how they made it work. So in the last season of the animated Spider-Man series, it's the Madam Web storyline, and it basically is the Spider-Verse. So Madam Web is like the hub for the Spider-Verse, and she sends him all away.
Really quick to interject, the voice of Madam Web is Joan Lee, his wife.
Oh, is it really?
Yep.
Nice.
That's a great note. But I love it specifically because when he's finally done saving the multiverse or whatever, he goes to one last world. And it's the world where Stan Lee exists, and he's the writer who created Spider-Man. He basically comes to our world, and like he gets to have a whole like 5-6 minute conversation with Stan Lee, basically just talking about what it means to be a hero and like all these different things. And it's just one of the most like heartwarming scenes that I've ever seen. Like where it's just like him talking with Stan Lee about being a hero, and like Stan gives him some encouragement and all that.
Yeah, and he even gets to take Stan web swinging at one point.
Yes,
which is really cool.
And Stan's just like going crazy about it. I loved it because it was super meta.
Yep.
It wasn't Stan as a character in a thing. It's like no, he gets to meet Stan Lee, who's meeting his hero, virtually his own hero.
The hero he created.
Yeah. And I just loved that part. I watched the series maybe 5 years ago because I just was getting into it. I just recently started it up again. Honestly, one of the best Peter Parkers ever to exist is that animated series from the 90s. Absolutely fantastic. It's funny as absolute shit. Like he's great.
Another fun thing about that episode is at the end of the episode when he leaves Stan Lee on the top of the building, and Stan's like, oh, how do I get down from here? I hope the Fantastic Four will show up and help me down.
yeah, that was great.
And moving on, in 1994 to 1995, they did the Marvel Action Hour. It was a syndicated block of 2 shows back to back. He would appear as himself to give brief introductions to each episode of Iron Man and the Fantastic Four. And then he voiced a character in one episode of the Incredible Hulk animated series in 1996. He voiced the character Frank Elson in an episode of Spider-Man, the New Animated Series, which was a sequel animated series to Spider-Man 2002 and was broadcast on MTV. It's actually a pretty good show if you go back, but the animation.
What was it called?
Weird.
It's
It's called Spider-Man: The New Animated Series. Neil Patrick Harris actually voiced Spider-Man.
I think I remember hearing about this. The new animated series. I might have to check that out.
And you'll never guess who voices Kingpin in that series.
No, I won't.
It's Michael Clark Duncan who reprises the.
Oh, who plays Kingpin? Wait,
Daredevil,
was he?
Yeah.
Is the Daredevil movie a reprisal or is this a reprisal?
This is a reprisal because he voiced it after filming Daredevil.
That was one of the best parts about that movie, though. Like, nobody cared about the race swapping thing, like the color swapping, because like Michael, like a lot of people get upset about that for some reason. I don't know why.
I know, I love it.
Like,
I talk about it all the time.
It doesn't bother me at all. Like,
we talk about race and gender changing
because it pisses off nerds.
It does.
Yeah, it does. It's just you're all a bunch of elitist fucks. Like, if you want to, like if you really are so dedicated to that version of the character, go read a fucking comic book. That's where it is.
Right.
This is a new story. We're doing it this way. But Michael Clark Duncan was so good as the Kingpin. Like, he was terrifying. Just this massive fucking dude.
He is really good.
Oh, so good. I was really upset when he died. Because did you ever watch the movie The Island with him? It was actually Ewan McGregor, Scarlett Johansson.
I have not. No.
It's a really good movie. I would highly recommend giving that a checking that out.
Well, another quick quick voice roles he was in. He voiced a loading dock worker in an episode of Spectacular Spider-Man. He was a recurring cast member in the Superhero Squad show as the mayor of Superhero City. And then he voiced a character in an episode of Black Panther. He was a recurring character in Ultimate Spider-Man as a high school janitor named Stan.
Yes, that was one of my favorite ones because he's actually in quite a lot of it. And I've been just recently watching through that show again because there was another season that I never watched. So I'm like kind of redoing all of it. And one of my favorite parts is a lot of people are suddenly convinced that Spider-Man goes to Peter Parker's high school. And so like it becomes a topic of conversation between him and Mary Jane. And like as they're talking about it, the janitor walks past. Mary Jane just goes, Spider-Man could literally be anyone at this school. And like they look at the janitor who just goes, flip. and it's obviously Stan. And they're just like, okay, maybe not anyone. Like, because he actually has a pretty large recurring role in that. It's like every other episode or so, he's actually in it.
I was gonna say, it says he's in a bunch of episodes, so
yeah, he's in quite a lot of it.
Well, then he also appeared in a couple episodes of Hulk and the Agents of Smash.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. I actually watched that series too. It wasn't horrible.
He was Stan the salesman, and then he later became Mayor Stan of Vista Verde. He also reprises his role as Fred's dad in Big Hero 6, the series. In this, it implies that his name is Frederick Fredrickson III.
I also love that movie because, like, it's supposed to be set in Japan, but they wanted San Francisco, so they call it San Fransokyo. That's the city that Big Hero 6 is set in. I liked that. I thought that was cool. It was like a Japanese themed version of the city too, in every regard. I liked that a lot. Like the art and like the way the city was built. It looked like San Francisco, but if it was in Japan, I thought it was cool.
It is really cool. He also had a cameo appearance in the Phineas and Ferb crossover special Mission Marvel from 2013. That's right. Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, he was a hot dog vendor. There it is.
He appears in a bunch of different Lego Marvel shorts. He had a non-speaking cameo in the series premiere of The Gifted, which I believe was an X-Men TV show.
Dude, that series should not have been canceled.
I never watched it.
Dude, watch it. Even though it's only got like a season or two. So good. They touch on so many things that X-Men was always been too scared to touch on. You know, which is weird because X-Men is already a very controversial subject as it is. You know, like just the themes that they go over. But that show, it centers around a different one of Magneto's daughters named Polaris. And
she married Havoc in the comics.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like the series a lot. Plus, it showed a lot of like what happens with dormant mutants, where they like come out really late in life, and that I thought that was a really cool thing too. So like, give it a watch. It's worth it, and it's got great special effects. Honestly, like it has awesome powers. Like the way that the powers look when they're being used is awesome.
Then to round out his TV show appearances, he had a couple of voice roles in Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, Avengers Black Panther's Quest, and Marvel Future Avengers, which was an anime series. And he again played a hot dog vendor.
Nice.
Yeah. I think Stan just really liked hot dogs.
Maybe he did.
Yeah.
He's in a bunch of different video game appearances. I'm not gonna read them all, but there's one I really want to touch on, and that's the Spider-Man PS1 game from 2000. He did the opening narration of that, and I really, really enjoyed that. I remember it as a kid
I do
playing
too.
that.
I remember that game like so well. Like
Yep.
all those old games. One of my favorite ones was where the one where the entire city gets flooded with like toxic gas, so you can't actually go on the ground. Remember
Yeah, I
that game?
believe that's Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I think that was the second one.
And he actually is a playable character in the Amazing Spider-Man video game, where you can, once you get him, you can swing through the city as Stan Lee.
Wait, in the
Pretty cool.
PS4 Insomniac Spider-Man game?
No. This is the Amazing Spider-Man. It was Activision's tie-in
yeah,
from the 2012 movie. And so, should we move on to non-Marvel film appearances?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. So this was his actual first ever movie appearance. Well, besides the TV movie in 1989, but in 1990 he was in Larry Cohen's The Ambulance. He played himself, in which one of the characters in that movie wants to be a comic book artist, and he goes to meet Stan Lee.
Yeah, and the character's like, I got a girl in the hospital, and Stan Lee says something along the lines of, "Oh, I'd prefer my women healthy, but to each their own."
Yeah. And he has an extensive cameo in Mallrats from 1995, where this is, I think, most well known for Brody Lee, who's Jason Lee's character. Not Brody Lee. Sorry, that's a wrestler's name. I think this movie is most well known for Brody Bruce, who is Jason Lee's character, asking about the genitalia of different superheroes.
Like, doesn't he talk about like Hulk stick and whatnot?
Yeah, he's like, is he green all over? And then he talks about the Thing. And he's like, can Mr. Fantastic stretch every part of his body?
Actually, it's canon that he can.
Oh, yeah,
In the
I
films.
believe so.
Did you know there's a deleted? And this, you can cut this out if you want to. There's a deleted scene in the first. Either it might be the first.
You talking about the Wolverine one?
Yes,
That's from
Where,
Rise of the Silver Surfer.
it is. Yeah, okay. So when he's on the boat, he does like the scene in the movie. They have him just like he puffs out his chin to give himself the square jaw. But the deleted scene was him stretching his face to match Wolverine's features.
Yeah, it's actually
and that
Hugh
was
Jackman.
hilarious. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was hilarious.
Because they wanted to use that as a crossover for X-Men and Fantastic Four to be in the same universe, but then they ended up canceling it. And then also continuing on from Kevin Smith, Stan Lee had a cameo in Yoga Hosers as a police officer in 2016 as well. Me and Nathan found this out, and we don't understand why it exists, but Stan Lee has a cameo in the Princess Diaries 2 Royal Engagement from 2004.
It's amazing. It's an amazing little scene.
I loved the Princess Diary movies.
It's just so weird that Stan Lee has a cameo in it.
It is kind of odd, but at the same time, I'm grateful for it.
Yeah.
Like the first movie was so fantastic. When my favorite scene said, he's like, "You're very cute." She's like, "I look like a moose." And he's just like, "Yes, but a very cute moose." Make all the other mooses go wah.
In 2010, Stan Lee actually filmed a cameo for the movie Kick-Ass, but it was ultimately cut from the film. Which I don't know if you know, Kick-Ass is technically a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
And then in 2011, Stan Lee plays himself in the 2011 Frankie Muniz film, Pizza Man.
Really?
I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's a superhero movie about pizza.
No.
We'll cover that in a few.
Although I did find out today, right before we got on this call, that Frankie Muniz has been a drummer for multiple bands.
Yeah.
And he's actually pretty talented.
So I got two posthumous appearances that he made in movies that were released after his death, and they both are from 2019. He appeared in Madness and the Method. This is the first movie that was directed by Jason Mewes, who plays Jay and Silent Bob. And then he was also in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot from 2019, which they use archival footage of him and Kevin Smith from Comic-Con. And this is actually the third movie that he appeared in that was directed by Kevin Smith.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Kevin Smith have had a relationship for decades.
Since 95.
Kevin Smith has been, I think even before that, like him and Stan Lee had they've been friends for even longer because Kevin Smith is a comic writer. I mean, I think he's been a comic book writer before he did even Jay and Silent Bob. So I think he worked for a couple different comics.
Well, Mallrats was his second movie ever, and that's how he got Stan Lee, was because Clerks was so big for him. Because he had never done anything before Clerks, and then he ended up doing comic books after. I think it was during the time he was making Chasing Amy is when he wrote his first comic book, which was his third movie. Yeah.
So it was around the same time that he would have actually started all that. But yeah.
Because he first met Stan Lee during the making of Mallrats. That's how he got it.
He also did a post-credit scene in the 2013 adult animated film Jay and Silent Bob's Super Groovy Cartoon Movie, where during his appearance he visits Bluntman and Chronic to talk to them about the Avenger Initiative.
Oh, that's
Oh, okay.
awesome.
In the mid 2000s, he also did a couple animated movies. The first two were subtitles as Stanley Presents, and it was Mosaic, which is a female superhero who has the power of light, I think. I just watched it. I can't remember what the power is exactly. Then the second one is Stanley Presents the Condor, and it's a skateboarder superhero that can fly. And both are pretty good for being animated movies. And then he also had Stanley's Mighty Seven, and in this one he plays a comic book writer who creates these characters called the Mighty Seven. Well, the Mighty Seven are real superheroes that are like in the public eye, they're kind of just like, yeah, those losers over there. And so he takes them and writes a comic book about them to make them more popular as superheroes.
But I could have sworn that Stanley had a minor part in Static Shock, did he not?
I don't think so, no.
Because he's been in a few DC properties.
Actually,
Yes.
the next thing is his one DC property we're going to get to. He has a voice cameo in Teen Titans Go to the Movies from 2018. This is his first and only cameo in a DC Comics project. Because the movie's like a parody of other superheroes, he shows up and he realizes that he's in a DC movie and not a Marvel one. And he's like, oh shit, I need to leave. I need to get out of here. But then he shows up later in the movie and he's like, I don't care if it's a DC movie. I just love making cameos. Stanley actually wrote a few comics for DC in the late 90s.
Yeah.
So just imagine. And he also has an appearance in Ralph Breaks the Internet, which is the sequel to Wreck-It Ralph. And he's just an internet avatar during the Oh My Disney sequence. He actually recorded lines for it, but in the movie, his character is silent. And I think that pretty much wraps it up because I don't think we're going to get into like documentaries or anything. So some other really quick things to mention. He was in a Super Bowl commercial where he reads a newspaper between Spider-Man and Darth Maul. And he also hosted a TV show on Sci-Fi called Who Wants to Be a Superhero? I really liked that show when it was on.
I remember that. Yeah.
It was very fun. He also made a couple appearances on The Big Bang Theory and the TV show Heroes, which is fun.
Yep. I loved Heroes.
Heroes. Season 1 of Heroes was really good. After that, I kind of dropped off. He also appeared as himself in Entourage. He was in an episode of Eureka. He was in an episode of Nikita. He was in one of Chuck. Just a bunch of different shows that he was just randomly. And he was in an episode of Fresh Off the Boat.
That show is actually really fucking funny.
I love that show.
It's got the guy who plays the FBI agent from Ant-Man, who was also in
Randall
one
Parks.
Yeah.
He was also in like Jim Henson's Muppet Babies. He was in Stripperella, which I don't know what Stripperella is, but it sounds interesting. It's an adult animated superhero that was made for Spike TV. And it's a superhero that's also a stripper. God, that sounds amazing. I gotta see if that's on DVD somewhere.
Stripperella.
He was in an episode of Superman the Animated Series. No, sorry. During an episode of Superman the Animated Series, he was in a commercial that aired during it. That's weird. He was in an episode of Robot Chicken. He was in an episode of The Simpsons. He was in a 2021 streaming series called Superhero Kindergarten, which is an adaptation of his comic book series of the same name. Don't know what that is. I think that wraps it up. That's pretty much everything he's ever done. So we talked about it all.
Hell yeah. I love that he's willing to poke fun at himself, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And that was one, like, Stanley's humor is always going to be like a hallmark of everything superhero. He was such a character just as himself.
Yeah.
Like, that's why he's cast as himself in so many things, is because Stan Lee is enough. Like, you don't need Stan Lee to be who this person or that person or uncredited role. He can just show up as Stan Lee.
Yeah, he's so charismatic. He like jumps off the page quite literally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And he really is like you ever listen to any of his interviews or just listen to him talk, like you just get sucked into everything he's got to say and you just want to hear more. It's been fun to kind of go down memory lane and like talk about all the things that, you know, he's been a part of. Because the reality is that he's responsible for so many childhoods or even adulthoods, you know, like mine in particular. I'm sure you guys as well. Like we all grew up loving it. That's the reason why we're having a whole podcast dedicated to the motherfucker, is because like we love this guy. He's done so much for us, you know.
And it's cool that we kind of grew up in the era of where he was doing all these cameos. You know, like where some people didn't get to.
Yeah.
Well, think about like our kids or like kids that are being born now. Like not only that, but imagine like someone in 18 years trying to like catch up with the MCU.
We'll have to watch 205 movies. Yeah, I mean, they're just gonna have to rewatch them. Like they're gonna watch their parents' favorite Marvel movies, so they get to see all the cameos. I'm not worried about that.
It's certainly a lot easier than it was for like us, like because like comics have been around a lot. A lot longer. So like trying to get caught up as a comic book lover was way more of a task than watching like 40 movies.
Well, kids are just lucky, because now we had to wait. Like, wait till next year to see Spider-Man. It's like my kids are like, we got 10 Spider-Mans to choose from. It's like,
or that wait when you get. I remember specifically, it's ingrained in my head, and it will be forever. Like walking out of the theater after seeing Infinity War, and then realizing I had to wait an entire year to know what happens next. That they're not going to experience that, and like to a degree, you're right. They are lucky, but
and a good example of that is like think about the end of Empire Strikes Back, where Han Solo gets frozen in carbonite, and then they had to wait 3 years for the next one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just want to thank you, Nathaniel, for coming on.
Yeah.
I know you like Stan Lee a lot. We wanted you to be here.
It's been fun. Thanks for having me. I love this shit. So
yeah, of course. How would you like to maybe come back for future Marvel episodes?
Anytime you guys got something to talk about that has anything to do with Marvel or superheroes in general,
Perfect.
I'm here for it.
So how about next week?
Yeah. Is that really like what you guys?
No. All right, cool. Well, you can be our Mojo Marvel Master Man.
Cut that.
It is a joke. No, I was hoping I'd come up with a better one, but that's been in my back pocket for a while, and I hate it. You're the Marvel Mojo Master.
Just the guy that talks about the shit and stuff.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, that's us.
Oh, sure.
What do you think, Bat? Should we have this guy back on here?
I guess. I'll put up with him again.
Your guys' frenemy feud.
What is that even about? Like,
I have no idea.
Is it a joke? Like, it's like, have we had a frenemy feud that I just
he surprised me with it too.
I was like, excuse me.
We'll see you next time.
Awesome. See you guys next time.
We shall see you there, or we shall see you another time. Excelsior.
Excelsior. Beautiful.
That was a good episode. What do you think?
I agreed.
Yeah, it was nice of Nathaniel to join us.
Yeah, he was a fun person to talk to.
Yeah. Would you like to have him on again?
I mean, we already asked him, so yeah.
I might have even already asked you. You're like, we have to deal with this guy again?
Yeah, no, that guy's my friend of me. I don't want my...
Get him out of here. Are you ready?
For what?
Wheel of
Versus.
Yeah, this part of the podcast is our favorite, and your favorite too, we hope. It's a fun one where we choose 5 characters from the episode we just talked about, and they're going to battle each other in an elimination style battle where we choose them like fat kids on the park.
We pick our teams.
And then we spin wheels, and they battle each other until we're down to all battled, I guess.
Absolutely.
Right now we were tied 3-3. This is our deal breaker. Nope. This is our tiebreaker episode for the first time.
Besides the first episode when we were both tied at 0-0.
Yes, I suppose you're right. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you who I got. I've got the wedding guest from The Princess Diaries 2, the strip club MC from Deadpool, the Omaha Beach veteran from Avengers Age of Ultron, the bartender from Ant-Man, and the pickup truck guy from Thor.
I got Stan the General Man from Captain America the First Avenger, Stan the Chess Man from the Avengers, Stan the Animated Cameo Man from Teen Titans Go to the Movies, Stan the Janitor Man, also possibly Stan the Librarian Man from Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man, and Willie Lumpkin from Fantastic Four. He's the mailman. Stan the Mailman Man.
All right, man. Should we get right into it?
Yes. And I'm going to click spin, but I didn't have my mouse in my hand. Ooh, interesting. I got Willie Lumpkin.
I got the Omaha Beach veteran. So I get he's old now. He's, but he's seen a few things. He's probably done a few things. He might have done a few more things that you even know about.
He's probably killed someone.
Yeah, he probably has.
Yeah, because I have Willie Lumpkin. He's a mailman. But this is the thing about him is think about all the dogs that he has to fight off on a daily basis because he's a mailman. All those dogs are like, rah, 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 and they're chasing after him.
Now you're assuming. You know how many mailmen avoid the dogs? They see the dog with the yard in it, they see the yard with the dog in it and just go, nope, and walk the other way. I'm not saying Stan's a coward, but we don't know if he ever fought off any dogs.
That's true, but I think Stanley's the type of guy who's like, bring him on.
Yeah, most likely. I believe this war veteran, has had extensive hand-to-hand combat training.
But also, how old is that guy? Because Willie Lumpkin in this movie is in his late 60s.
Oh, I shouldn't be calling him the Omaha Beach veteran. He was just part of World War II. I should be calling him the World War II veteran.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
War buff might be upset about this. If he was 20 in 1944,
He'd
so
be 100.
2004, he'd be 80.
Yeah, so
Oh, he's
2015, he was like 91.
Still kicking. He's up walking around talking to Thor, drinking. He was drunk as hell. He's got a few punches in him.
Sounds like he has a drinking problem. Maybe the mailman should deliver him a brochure for Alcoholics Anonymous. Am I right? So you think you'd win this one?
I personally do. I think he's had enough training. Yeah, he's older, but how much hand-to-hand combat training has the mailman done?
He's got to fling all those letters, you know?
True.
He's got to throw newspapers to people's doors.
He's not a newspaper guy. He's a mailman.
Same difference. He built his way up.
Not really. Well, then he lost the muscle memory.
All right, I'll let you have this one. God damn it.
Yes.
I spun.
All right, I got the strip club MC.
I got Stan the janitor man, but also Stan the librarian from The Amazing Spider-Man man.
Okay, so a librarian versus a strip club MC.
Yeah. And I think the librarian is a pretty cool cat because he seems kind of like a Mr. Magoo type where things happen around him and he doesn't get hurt or injured in any way. So like I think it could be like that type of situation where maybe your character tries to like punch him and he just like happens to walk away and then your guy falls down.
But that's only if he's oblivious. This is a face-to-face fight. So you have to be aware. You probably don't even have your headphones on.
I think he
My
does.
character, Stan Lee in this one,
I think his
girls all day.
I think his headphones are his Thor's hammer.
He's got to be present enough to fight because I just don't think if it was a full-on, like they weren't trying to get the librarian. I think if even Spider-Man, yes, he's a good guy, tried to attack the librarian, I think he would have got him.
The lizard, I think, was trying to get him.
I don't think so. I think there was them fighting in the background. They happened to almost get him multiple times. That's why it was kind of like you said, Mr. Magoo. Like those buckets and things weren't trying to kill Mr. Magoo. They're just falling because of gravity. And he's just walking by.
I think he's got gumption. I think he's got heart. I think he's got what it takes to beat up a guy who works in a strip club and he's also 90.
He looks at naked girls all day. He probably has to fill in for the bouncer every once in a while.
He's looking at naked ladies all day. His heart can't take it. He's gonna have a heart attack. It's like the movie Old School where Blue sees the boobies and he's
You're
like,
my boy, Blue.
You drop down and give me 20, Blue. I don't know. This one's a hard choice.
It is a hard choice. They're both not all that spectacular.
It really comes down to what's a harder job, MCing or
Yeah. I personally think strip club MC would be a harder job.
Being a librarian. He's got to put up with high school kids all the time, ruining his books, drawing dicks on the covers.
MC has to deal with hecklers, drunk guys, trying to touch all the girls' boobies.
No, that's the bouncer's job. That's not his job. All he does is play music.
He's got to keep them in order to a schedule. He's got to tell which naked lady to come out when he needs them to come out.
All he's got to do is, which record do I play next? This librarian could throw a book at your head.
You need to work both, and then tell me which is harder.
All right, we'll record this part separate.
Okay, I think I'll give it to you just so you can have a little in your back pocket.
In it to win it, baby.
We should come up with a strip club that's the opposite. Let's just start. A naked lady walks out.
She starts putting on clothes.
And just starts slowly putting on a shirt.
She's wearing 13 shirts. One more. What? Yeah. Yeah.
I just can't handle it. I gotta go home.
I gotta go tell my wife about this. She's never gonna believe it.
Dale, call me a cab. I'm out. All right, I'm spinning.
I also will spin something, and I got one.
What'd you get?
You go first.
I got pickup truck guy.
I got Stan the animated man.
That's really funny because the pickup truck guy has a pickup truck. And in the movie that the animated one's in, he gets hit by a moving vehicle and he gets stuck to the windshield. So here I am proving that he's very strong, but that's also in the animated world. In the real world, I feel like this truck might be a little stronger. He's driving at you. Boom, you get stuck to the windshield.
Well, he's animated. And as we know, the laws of physics don't particularly matter in animation.
That's true. Look at Roger
And-
Rabbit, Tom and Jerry, anything.
This is a pretty goofy movie. And I don't mean a goofy movie like Goofy. I just mean it's pretty silly. And yeah, it's superheroes and stuff. And Stanley, I think he gets whacked in the head at one point in this movie, and he's like, da 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 da. Then he's back, you know. So I don't know. I think I
I'm gonna
thought
turn my wipers on. That's my.
I thought of this one
Percent.
last minute and thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a good choice.
I
Up to
forget
you.
that cartoons, unfortunately, can be squashed to a pancake and be fine. That's not
Yes. Did I
fair.
win?
Due to what Tom and Jerry laid down for us, you have to take
I
it. Otherwise,
Did it.
I'd be upset with myself.
I got Stan the General Man from Captain America: The First Avenger. So he's a general in the army, and so you know he's been in a couple scrapes and probably been in a battle or two. Like me and Nathaniel talked about, he was probably in the Civil War also at that age because he was like old.
I don't think that far back.
Because the Civil War is not that long ago.
You never let me say who I got, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who'd you get?
Like that sounds like a boom boom.
Oh, my bad.
And I got the wedding guest.
All right, defend your guy.
Well, he learned English from the Three Stooges movies and shows. So I feel like he's probably picked up a few eye pokes, slaps, pies to the face, block the eye pokes with his hand.
Yeah,
You know, he's yeah, he knows what's up. Yep. Yep.
yeah, possibly, but could the Three Stooges fight a general in the army? It's kind of like the Omaha Beach one.
Yeah, but like you said for that one, he's old.
He is old. Army guy versus your guy.
Just like last time.
I'll give it to you. Then we'll be tied.
Okay. And my last one is the bartender from Ant-Man.
Stanley the Chess Man from Avengers. Do you want to go first? I'll let you go first on this one. Take the lead.
So I think in general, a bartender is really good at his job, and he knows how to break up fights, cut people off when they've had too much. You know, just they're tough cookies. I've been a bartender. I know what it takes, and I could beat the crap out of a chess player.
Okay, but his whole character is that he's like, superheroes in my city, give me a fucking break. He doesn't take it seriously, and I think he's got it in his back pocket to be like especially, okay, imagine your guy, right? He messes up his chess game. Like, he's in the middle of playing chess. He's sitting in the park, all of a sudden he gets teleported to the park, and he's like, oh, I gotta fight this other Stan Lee? What? I wanted to play chess. That's it. Wha-bam! 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 He's like, oh, what are you gonna do? Make me a cocktail?
Well, he's sitting
Nuh-uh.
there. He's just shining a glass as we speak with his towel. So now he's got a towel to whip you. He's got this glass to hit the butt end on your head. It's probably going to shatter. Then he can take the shards. He can even wrap the shards in the towel around his fist. And now he's got a glass towel knuckle puncher rag.
All right, well, Stan the chess man could put chess pieces between his fingers like Wolverine's claws and be like,
You know how
bam,
bad that would
bam,
hurt?
bam,
Have you ever
bam.
done that before? I put pencils between my fingers and tried to grip, and that kind of hurts.
Does it?
Yeah.
I don't have anything small enough to put in my
Go
fingers.
grab some chess pieces. I'm sure you have a game of chess somewhere.
I do.
Wait, this is gonna be like a battle. Like we both are like, no, I won. No, I won.
I don't know. I think chess is the most, the most gritty sport there is when you think about it.
I disagree.
Bobby Fischer, where is he? I don't know. Should we flip a coin? Call it.
Heads.
It's heads.
I win.
All right, well, you won.
Yes.
I
I'm in the lead.
lost
For
the
now.
title again.
I mean,
Jiminy
But
crickets.
we're pretty even. I mean, like 7 episodes in and 4-3. Like it's not like 6-1 or anything, so we can't be too upset. Oh well, that was a fun one. Not the greatest selection of fighters.
No, because it's just variations on Stan Lee and old guys punching at each other.
Yeah.
It'd be, if you were in the stands watching it, it'd be sad.
I wouldn't go to this
Oh, I would.
if it was truly Stan Lee. If it was just old dudes, well, that was fun.
I agree. This was a good episode
Yeah.
overall. We had a good guest, and we
Mhm.
had a lot of fun.
Yeah,
It's also,
Stan the man.
I guarantee you, this is our longest episode
Oh yeah,
because Nathaniel rambled.
yeah,
Nathaniel, more like ramble Nathaniel.
yeah.
Oh, of course. So you can message us at ourdadsourbrothers@gmail.com. You can send us any requests for episodes or topics, or if you just want to be like, hey, you guys are idiots because this is the best Stan Lee cameo or whatever, then you can do that. And no matter what you're listening to this on, give us a 5-star review. That really helps us out. So that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and you can check out some of our Instagrams if you're interested. We got Nathan Tracy, One Brick Wall at a Time, and Halomoto.
Halimoto.
HALLOMOTTO.
Halimoto. I am BatTracy01 on everything but TikTok. I'm Bat Loves Movies, and on YouTube at Punk Rock Blues. You can go check me out over there.
I'm excited for next week. What about you?
I am also excited for next week because what is it?
It is Disney remakes.
Yes, I'm excited for this because
From animations to live action.
I'm going to watch the one I haven't seen before, which I believe is Cinderella.
Cinderella's not in the list.
Is it not? Jiminy Crickets. Then what I'm thinking of Beauty and the Beast.
Have you seen Pete's Dragon?
Yes, but I haven't seen the animated Pete's Dragon. So I got some stuff to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, it'll be fun. Tune in next week.
We'll see you there, or we'll see you another time.
Yeah. And until next time, I'm Nathan Tracy.
And I'm Bat Tracy. And our dads are brothers.
That they are.
It's
That was
true.
fun.
I agree. It was very, very fun.
Yeah, I had so much fun.
We should do this again sometime.
Yeah, you think so?
Maybe like, I don't know, a weekly thing.
Sure.
Maybe a podcast.
Yeah, okay.
We just need a good name. Something to hook the audience.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
We made zero eye contact the whole episode.
We never
So
do.
look it down.
Because usually I
look
have.
at you most of the time.
Do you? Because I never do. I always have docs open on my computer.
Well, I've got 2 screens. That's why I
Oh.
have the time.